Hello all, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and in today's video we will be covering while loops in detail. In my previous video I have already covered for loops in Python, and you can find the link in the description below. So let's start with the while loops. So what is a while loop? A while loop is nothing but a statement in Python or in any other programming language that gets repeatedly executes until and unless your statement is true. So that simply means if the condition is true, then your loop will continuously and repeatedly will be executed, and the moment your condition is not satisfied, then you will be go out of the loop. So what do we mean by condition, what do we mean by out of the loop? You will understand everything in very detail. So the syntax of while loop is nothing but using the while keyword, then we use a condition that is going to decide if you're going to start your loop or not. If this condition is not satisfied, then your loop will not get executed. What I mean by that is basically the statements inside the while loop will not be executed. And if the condition is true, then and only then your statements will be executed. So let's say you want to print first 10 numbers with the help of while loop. So first of all, in order to use loops, let it be a for loop or while loop, you need to have three condition and you need to remember 3 points. So that is first is starting point, stepping point, and stopping point. So that simply means where you want to start your loop, from where you want to start your loop, to which point you want to take your loop, and you need to give away so that your loop travels from starting point to ending point. So let's say, as I mentioned, that we want to print first 10 numbers. So I want my numbers to go till 10. So I will say n is equals to 10. And what I will do, I will define another variable for which I will add 1 at each time the loop gets executed. So let's say I will take it as step is equals to 0. And now we will write the while loop. So as I mentioned, we need the keyword while, and then we need the condition. So we want to execute the loop till the time we reach 10. So n should be less than 11. The moment it is not less than 11, our loop will break. But here is the catch. We will not pass n over here because we will add +1 to step, but not to n. Or you can simply write here n plus 1. That is also equivalent. And now we enter into the loop body. So basically, as you can see, there is indentation, and Python, and in Python, in Jupyter Notebook, you get automatic indentation. So now what do we want? I want to print n. The value of n is uh, n. Sorry, the value of n is step. And here I'm using f strings. If you want to know more about f strings, I already have a detailed video and you can find the link in the description below as well. And after printing the value of step, I'm going to add +1 to step. So how you can add +1 to step? Either you can use step is equals to step +1, or you can use step plus equals to 1. They both are equivalent. So I'm going to use the second one and I'm going to comment out the first one. And then I'm going to print my loop, that is execute my loop. And if you see, my loop has printed from 0 to 10. So how does it work? So basically, when my loop started, it checked 0 is less than n plus 1. That simply means 0 is less than 11 because n is 10. Yes, it is there. So it is printing the value of n is step, that is 0. Then we are adding +1 to step. So the step becomes 1. So again, we go to this condition, that is this Boolean expression, and we check 1 is less than n plus 1. That is right. And then again we enter inside the loop body, and again we print this statement, and then we get the value of n is 1. And hence we add one more value to step, that is +1. Now the step is 2. Again we move on to this particular condition that says step is less than n plus 1. Step is now 2. 2 is less than n plus 1, so which is true, and hence we again enter the loop, and so on and so forth. And at the last, when step becomes 10 and step plus 1 will be 11. So 11 is less than n plus 1. It is not true. So the loop breaks. And that is how while loop functions. So this is just a basic example how you can actually print first in numbers. Let's say you want to use if and else conditional statements inside of a while loop as well. So let's consider you want to print first 20 even numbers. So same way we will use the same ideology, we will use the same steps. Since we want to go till 20, and since 20 is also an integer, an even number, so we will again use step equals to 0. And what we will do, while step is less than n plus 1, and then we will check if step percentage 2 is double equals to 0. If step percentage 2, that is modulus operator, double equals to 0. If this is true, then we are going to print, I'm just going to print step, and that's it. If step percentage 2 is double equals to 0, and if this happens, we are going to add plus 2 to it. We're going to add plus 2 to it, and you not need either you can add plus 2 to it, either you can add plus 1 to it. That is both the same. So I'm going to add after the if condition step plus equals to 1, and if you execute this, what happens? If you see 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 20, so we get all the even numbers from 0 to 20, and that is what we wanted. So what happens here, again the same condition, 0 percentage 2 is double equals to 0, and when we do print step, that is the value of step. But what is needed to see here is basically I have added plus 1 in the loop body, but not inside the if body. So what happens if I do plus 1 inside the if? So let's say I do plus 1 here. So what happens? We get only 0. That is it. So that's why we need to add plus 1 outside the if condition, so that we can keep on iterating from 0 to 20. And again, we get 0 to 20. Oh, my bad. Sorry. Yeah. So if you want to understand and if you want to have a good understanding of conditional statements, again, I already have a detailed video regarding that, and you can find the link in the description below. So let's say you want to print the elements of this list number by number, element by element, with the help of while loop. So I'm going to print this list over here to make our life easy. Sample underscore list, and I want to print all the elements of this list line by line. So how can I do that? Is basically while length of sample underscore list. So basically, instead of doing this, what we can do is to assign a variable to it. Let's say m, which is length of sample underscore list, while m is not equals to 0. Length is not equals to 0. What I'm going to do, print m of 0, and then I'm going to subtract -1 from it. -1 from it. M minus equals to 1. And we get a type error. Integer object is not subscriptable. Why? Because if you see, oh, sorry, my bad. This should be sample. It should be M, but this should be sample underscore list. And this should be M. M is not equals to 0. M will start from here, and this will work. Let's try. This will not work. List index is out of range. So basically what you need, you want numbers that goes from 0, that is n equals to 0, and that number should go till n is less than length of m. That is the logic actually. Length equals to. and then we print sample underscore list of n, and then we print, then we add +1 to n. So this way we'll reach, again we get a type error because it says object of int has no length. So again, you don't need length of m, you just need m. Again, list index is out of range. Why? Because we are actually doing less than equals to. We need to do less than. So these are the few mistakes that you can actually catch while using loops. This condition is really important. And when you're using list with the loops, you probably get list index out of range. That is the type error many times. So that is why I have been deliberately making mistakes so that you would be able to understand what all we need to understand in order to slice list or any other data type in Python. So now let's say you want to create an infinite loop in Python. So with the help of while loop. So as you can see, if this condition is true, only then and then we enter or execute the loop body. So let's say this condition is always true and we do not iterate over this condition. In here also, and in above example as well, we have been iterating this condition so that it terminates or it reaches to the stopping point. So what I mean by that? So basically I will just write while true. So this condition will always be true. Print infinite loop. And as you can see, this loop is continuously going on. This loop is continuous, infinite. It will never end. So why it is this happening? Let me just stop it first. So why it is happening? If you see, this condition is always true, and there is no way we can terminate it. We are not mentioning or we are not placing any stopping position or iterating position so that the loop gets terminated. So basically, this is called infinite loop with while loop or infinite loop in Python. And in if your while loop contains only one single statement, so you can, instead of using the next line, you can simply enter like this also. So this will work the same way, provided your loop body has only one statement. So I'm going to stop it again. And instead of using true, you can also use one, because one will be considered as true and zero will be considered as false. So this will work in the same way. As you can see, this is infinite loop again. And instead of that, you can also assign like a flag equals to true or one. Both will do the same work. And if you see, this is again an infinite loop, right? Now, enough with the infinite loop. Let's go with break or continue statements and loops. I've already covered with those statements in for loop, but let's do it with while loop as well. So let's say I want to print all the numbers from 0 to 10, but I just want to terminate my loop when I reach 5. So I'm going to use the above code, this one, and sorry, what I'm going to do, I'm going to check if step is double equals to 5, then I'm going to break it. But this statement should be above print statement, because first you need to check if your step is 5. Then then in the else part you mention the print statement, and at the end you add +1 to it because you want to iterate over. So if you see, my loop is only printing the value of n is 0, the value of n is 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Since when the step becomes 5, you're breaking out of the loop. So basically that is what the work of break statement. So I hope you were able to understand how while loops work, how infinite loops you can use in while loop, and how basically if and else you can also incorporate in the inside the while loop body. So please do give a like to this video if you really find it informative, and please share it with your friends as well so that they can share it to more people. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video. Keep watching and keep supporting. Thank you.